You don't walk into this prison. You fall into it. One moment you're blinded by torchlight, the next, you're plunging down a narrow stone shaft that closes above you like a lid. The walls scrape your arms, your breath catches, and then impact. Wet. Cold. Wrong. The floor gives way beneath your hands, shifting like a living thing. You feel bones, soaked straw, maybe old shoes, maybe not. Something moves under your palm. A single line of moonlight cuts through the darkness. It's weak, barely enough to show you your own breath. The pit smells like rot and damp stone, like human waste and something older, something forgotten. You quickly understand why they call this place an oubliette, the place where you are forgotten. You try to stand, but the floor sucks at your feet. Rats dart across your ankles. You look up, hoping for a ladder, a rope, a face. There is only the hole, and now it's closing in. You've been here less than a minute, and already your night is falling apart. But this is only the introduction to your new reality. Time behaves strangely in darkness. A few seconds feel like minutes. Minutes stretch into something unbearable. You don't know how big the room is, or if it even is a room. You stretch your arm out, expecting to touch a wall. Nothing. Your fingers grasp at empty air. Then suddenly, stone. Freezing. Wet, trembling under dripping water. Your senses rebel. Every sound becomes a threat. A drop echoing like footsteps. A skitter that might be a rat, or just your imagination feeding on fear. You can't tell if something touched your leg, or if your mind is inventing horrors faster than reality delivers them. Your breathing gets shallow. You force yourself to inhale, but the air tastes like mold and decay. Panic creeps in fast. Your heart pounds so loudly you swear someone else can hear it. You try to find a corner, something to anchor yourself to. But this place wasn't designed for comfort. It was designed for disorientation. And before long, you start missing something you never thought you would. Light. But don't worry. When light finally comes, you'll wish it hadn't. If you grew up with movies, you imagined medieval prisons as gloomy stone rooms with iron bars, maybe a straw pile, maybe a torch, maybe even a dramatic dripping sound effect. Cute. The real thing is worse. Medieval prisons weren't punishment. They were holding pens. No beds, no sanitation, no privacy, no guards patrolling with lanterns. Just dozens of people crushed into a space smaller than your living room, all breathing the same sick, humid air. You hear voices now, moaning, arguing, someone coughing like they're dying. Others already have. The darkness hides most of them, but as your eyes adjust, shapes begin to form. Bodies, tangled together. Some awake, some maybe not. The smell hits next. Old sweat, fresh wounds, mold, rotting fabric, human waste. It's layered, like a history of everyone who has ever been trapped here. The walls sweat with moisture. The floor shifts with vermin. Suddenly, Hollywood seems like a warm, inviting fantasy. And speaking of fantasies, wait until you meet the man who actually runs this place. You hear boots scraping stone, heavy, unhurried. Someone is approaching, and it's not a rescuer. Torchlight bursts into the cell, blinding you for a moment. When your eyes adjust, you see him. The jailer. The only man down here with power, and he knows exactly how much he has. He's not armored. He's not noble. He's a businessman. And you? You are his product. He jingles the keys, not because he needs to, but because it makes him feel like a king. If you want water, you pay. If you want straw, you pay. If you want basic human decency, you pay a lot. If you can't pay, he has other options. Withholding food, chaining you to the wall, letting the other prisoners discipline you. Pain is currency, and you either buy comfort or buy suffering. His eyes scan the room, choosing who gets what. You're new. You're vulnerable. You're profitable. But even if you had coins, you'll still face the next horror. Because hunger never negotiates. In here, money is the only law. Forget justice. Forget innocence. Forget fairness. The jailer charges fees for everything, sometimes even for the chains on your wrists. Prisoners who arrive with a pouch of coins can buy corners, blankets, extra portions, even moments of relative safety. You fell into this pit with nothing. A wealthier prisoner sits slumped in a slightly cleaner patch of straw, guarded by a few desperate men who work as his hired muscle. Around him, others barter anything: buttons, scraps of cloth, bits of metal, for a sip of clean water or a dry patch of floor. But the poorest? They simply fade. A man beside you, barely breathing, gets no attention. Why would he? He can't pay. He's already spent more value in oxygen than he can repay in fees. The cruel truth settles in. You aren't expected to survive. You're expected to be profitable while you're dying. And just when you think it can't get worse, you get your first meal. A bowl is shoved into your hands. Liquid sloshes against its wooden sides. Thin, gray, unidentifiable. Someone calls it bread water, though the bread is barely more than soaked crusts floating in a murky broth. You hesitate, but hesitation is dangerous. Hunger wins. You lift the bowl to your lips and gag as the smell hits. Mold, metal, something sour you can't name. A bug twitches on the surface. Maybe 2, maybe 3. You swallow anyway. Around you, others choke down their portions, some vomiting immediately, but still forcing themselves to continue. Because vomiting means hunger. Hunger means weakness. Weakness means death. The water you drink tastes worse. It's the same bucket used for washing, drinking, and everything else. You stop thinking about it. Thinking leads to panic. Panic leads to dehydration. You lick moisture off the stone wall just to wet your tongue. And while your stomach rebels, your skin begins to itch. Your real enemies are already feeding. The itching starts as a nuisance, then it becomes unbearable. Lice swarm in your hair, in your clothes, in your seams. Fleas bite your ankles. Mites burrow into your skin. Every scratch opens a wound. Every wound becomes infected. You hear coughing deep, rattling, fatal, typhus, tuberculosis, dysentery. These aren't possibilities. They're roommates. A man next to you has a leg wound leaking pus. Oh, another has a fever so high he babbles nonsense. No one helps him. No one can. A body lies in the corner, covered loosely with straw. You didn't notice it at first. You notice it now. It's been there a while. No one removes corpses immediately. Infection is already everywhere. Why bother? You breathe in the same air as the dying and the dead. You sleep in the same straw. You touch the same walls. Your skin crawls. Your mind races. But disease is only one form of pain here. Some pains are deliberate. A scream tears through the corridor, sharp and short. Silence follows, cold and heavy. In medieval justice, torture isn't punishment. It's paperwork. The judge wants answers, and the jailer provides them. You're dragged from the cell into a room colder than the pit. Chains hang from the ceiling. Ropes, wooden frames, iron tools that look like they were designed by nightmares. A man is stretched on a rack, joints pulled taut. Another is suspended by his arms behind his back, shoulders straining, bones threatening to slip from sockets. Water pours steadily into someone's nose and mouth. You hear choking, desperate gasps, then quiet, terrifying Psychological torture is worse. Isolation, endless dripping, bright light that blinds, cold floors that freeze your bones. You realize you may not even reach the morning. But even if you do, others suffer more. Those who never should have been here in the first place. A child cries in the darkness. You turn, expecting to see a small figure clinging to a parent. Instead, you see a woman holding her child close, surrounded by men in chains. There are no separate cells for women, no protection, no mercy. She avoids the jailer's gaze because she knows what happens if he takes an interest. Abuse is common, complaints are impossible, and justice is a luxury no one down here can afford. A young girl sits in the corner, dirt on her face, knees pulled to her chest. Maybe she stole bread. Maybe she angered the wrong man. Maybe she's here because someone else committed the crime. In this system, guilt is irrelevant. Children grow up inhaling moldy air, stepping over bodies, listening to screams. They learn quickly. Too quickly. You look at them and feel a new kind of horror. Not fear for yourself, but for a world that allowed this. And that's when your mind begins to crack. Your sense of time dissolves. The darkness twists into shapes. You blink, and shadows move where nothing should move. You hear whispers that might be real, or might be your own thoughts echoing back at you. Your heart races for no reason, or for every reason. Your breath comes in sharp bursts. The walls feel closer. The air feels heavier. Panic grips your chest like a claw. You try to ground yourself, but there's nowhere to go, nothing to hold, no light to focus on. You lose track of minutes, hours. You scratch at your skin until it bleeds. You can't stop. The itching, the fear, the closeness, they blend together until you can't distinguish pain from panic. Someone screams. Maybe it's far away. Maybe it's you. You run your fingers along the wall and feel carvings, marks left by previous prisoners. Tallies, names, desperate scratches from fingernails long gone. You realize they were counting days. You're counting breaths. And dawn still feels impossible. A pale light finally slips into the dungeon, revealing horrors you prayed were only noises. Bodies. Sick men. Open sores. Rats feeding on the forgotten. You see it all now, and you wish you didn't. You try to stand, but your legs tremble under the cold. Your breath fogs the air. Every joint aches. Your stomach twists. You're starving, dehydrated, infected, exhausted, and terrified, and it's only been one night. The jailer arrives, indifferent as always. He steps over the sick and dying, unlocking the door with the same casual rhythm as yesterday. To him, this isn't suffering. This is routine. Some prisoners crawl toward the light. Others can't move at all. A few didn't make it through the night. And you? You're somewhere in between. Alive, technically, but not unbroken. But survival isn't the end. It's the beginning of the realization you've been avoiding. You've endured cold, starvation, parasites, disease, torture, darkness, and psychological collapse. Your body is shaking. Your vision blurs. Your thoughts fragment. You survived the night, but barely, and only because the story demanded it. Most real prisoners didn't last long. The combination of filth, hunger, infection, and fear killed many within days. Some within hours. Mortality in certain medieval prisons reached 20 to 40%. And even those who walked out alive carried the prison with them in their lungs, their skin, their nightmares. You look back through the bars at the darkness you came from. It stares back like a living thing, patient, hungry, ready for the next soul dropped into its pit. Modern prisons are far from perfect, but compared to this, they're paradise. You survived one night in a medieval prison. But if you're honest, a part of you knows the truth. You didn't really survive. You simply didn't die fast enough.